Have you ever dreamed of learning a new language, but then that little voice pops in your head and says, nah, it's too late for me? Well, today we are going to dive into the science that proves that feeling is just plain wrong. We're going to break down how your adult brain isn't just capable, it's actually uniquely wired for success. Yeah, does this question hit close to home? You know that voice, right? The one that whispers, I should have done this in high school, or my brain just doesn't absorb things like it used to. Believe me, this is the #1 fear that stops people dead in their tracks. And see, it's not just some random doubt, it's a deep-seated belief. This quote from the book Becoming Fluent just nails it. This one single idea can be the biggest hurdle you face. But what if it's just not true? Well, here's the spoiler. It is a myth. We're going to pull from cognitive science today to show you that you can absolutely learn a new language as an adult. And get this, you actually have some pretty serious advantages over kids. I get it. Learning a language can feel like you're standing at the bottom of a giant mountain. It's intimidating. But here's the thing you have to realize. You are not starting from scratch. You've literally spent a lifetime gathering the exact gear you need for this climb. So here's our game plan for that climb. First, we'll bust that big language myth. Then we'll take a look at your adult superpowers. After that, we'll talk about training your brain, go beyond just words, and finally, lock in the right mindset to get you all the way to the top. All right, let's jump right into part 1. It is time to completely take apart this idea that you had to learn a language when you were a kid to be any good at it. So we've all heard it, right? Kids are like sponges, they just soak up languages. But here's the reality, and this is backed by a ton of research. Adults are actually more efficient learners in almost every single way. We're talking grammar, vocabulary, the whole deal. The only place kids really have an edge is in getting that perfect, native-sounding accent. For everything else, the advantage is all yours. So what are these advantages exactly? Well, let's call them your adult superpowers. These are cognitive skills you've spent decades perfecting, even if you don't realize it. Okay, superpower number 1, metacognition. It sounds complicated, but it just means thinking about how you think. You already know how you learn best, right? Like if you're a visual person, or you learn by doing, or you need absolute quiet to focus. That self-awareness lets you build a learning plan that's tailor-made for you. A kid just can't do that. And this gets at a huge difference in how we learn. Kids are bottom-up learners. They're just taking in raw sounds and sights. But you're a top-down learner. You have this gigantic mental library of life experience. So when you hear a new word, you're not just hearing a random sound. You're connecting it to a whole web of ideas you already understand. It is a massive shortcut. So let's just quickly recap your superpowers. Your brain is not an empty slate. It's a highly organized library. You have analytical skills to actually figure out grammar rules, not just guess. You have real, clear motivation, a why. And you have insight, that amazing ability to see patterns and connections that a child would totally miss. Okay, so you've got these incredible superpowers, but how do you actually put them to work? Let's get practical and look at 3 science-backed strategies to make your learning really stick. First up, forget about just repeating words over and over. That's rote memorization. To really build long-term memory, you need something called deep processing. This is all about engaging with new information in a meaningful way, connecting with it, not just chanting it. It's about the quality of your attention, not the quality of repetitions. So how do you do that? Well, try connecting a new word to a vivid personal memory. That's the self-reference effect, and it's crazy powerful. Or create a wild mental image for a word. Try to explain a grammar rule to someone else. You'll find you learn it much better yourself. This is how you build memories that last. All right, strategy number 2 is distributed practice. Let me just say it, cramming does not work. Not for long-term learning anyway. Your brain needs time and sleep to consolidate what you've learned. Spreading out your practice is just so much more effective. What this looks like in real life is that studying for 30 minutes a day is way better than trying to cram for 3 hours on a Sunday. Use those spaced repetition apps on your phone. They're literally built on this science. They show you a word right before you're about to forget it. And mix it up. Don't just do flashcards. Do some reading, some listening, and yes, some speaking. Strategy number 3 is all about managing your cognitive load. Think of your working memory like your hands. You can only juggle so many things at once. If you try to learn too much too fast, you overload it. You just drop everything and get frustrated instead of learning. So the key is to find that sweet spot, that perfect level of challenge. Break down big, scary grammar topics into tiny, bite-sized pieces. Put your phone in another room. Focus on the most common, essential words first. The goal here is to stay challenged, but never, ever overwhelmed. Now, this is so important. Language isn't just a list of vocabulary words in a textbook. It's a living, breathing tool for human connection. And guess what? It's another area where adults have a huge leg up. There's this skill called pragmatics, which is basically the social side of language. It's knowing not just what to say, but how to say it, when to say it, and who to say it to. It's getting the joke, understanding sarcasm, using a polite phrase instead of a blunt one. Your decades of social experience give you a massive head start here. Which brings us to a really important goal. Stop chasing a perfect native-like accent. Honestly, it's a ghost. It's an unrealistic goal that just makes you afraid to open your mouth. The real goal should be intelligibility. Can people understand you? Use that self-awareness we talked about to figure out what's tripping people up and focus on that. Aim for connection, not perfection. Okay, we've finally arrived at what might be the single most important piece of the puzzle, your mindset. The strategies we talked about, they're the car, but your mindset, that's the fuel for this whole journey. And it all boils down to having a growth mindset. Every time you make a mistake, don't see it as a failure, see it as data. It's proof you're pushing yourself. Set tiny, realistic goals, like learning 5 new words this week. And when you do it, celebrate that win. Seek out those situations that feel a little bit scary. And most of all, just stay curious. The more you fall in love with the culture, the more the language will just click into place. So let's go all the way back to the beginning. Are you too old to learn a new language? After everything we've looked at, the answer is a loud, definitive no. You are not just capable. You are perfectly equipped. You've got the life experience, you've got the powerful cognitive tools, and now you know how to learn smarter. The only real question left is, what new world will you decide to unlock?